all four of us at this table went to go see the Mario movie last night.
True.
I will be on Patreon. I put out a post that said, I want your Mario movie reviews, and I will read them. And we are going to do that later. But first, I figured we would discuss the Mario movie together. Would anyone like to start? Would anyone care to share sentiment to begin with? Okay.
I shouldn't begin.
Okay. I will start. I will say.
That's
Um,
probably the best place to start.
in the beginning of the movie, I said the first third. Oh, how embarrassing. Oh, yeah. Let me say that. Thank you. Alternate Liz. We are going to go
Oh yeah.
heavy into spoilers. Heavy into spoilers. This is a spoiler topic. Peace and love. Stay away if you don't want spoilers. If you are watching live, we will put in the comments on Discord when spoilers are over. I'll make sure we type something to let you know. So if you're hanging out in Discord, bow out now, and I will make sure there's an announcement of when the spoiler section is over. If you are watching live on YouTube and you're not in the Discord, I don't know. You're going to have to, I don't know. I'll wave to the camera. You can sit there with it silent. And then we'll have timestamps later on, obviously, for our audio listeners and all that. But that should all be taken care of. But if you're here in the now, yes, spoilers begin now. So the first third of the movie, when I have Mario and Luigi kissing each other, I don't know how I feel about that.
See, that's the part I liked.
Yeah, but for 10 minutes.
I liked
the first third of the movie.
Oh my god!
I was like, uh-oh, I don't like this. It starts off like in the real world, because we got to do that in a lot of movies when it's video game movies or adaptations. They're like, but the real world to the game world or whatever. I'm not really keen on that, but it was just like the whole scene just felt like everything I watched was nothing Mario Brothers related. I was like, I don't care about any of this. Like this, I don't need any of this. But it was very quick. Like within the first, I don't know what, 15 minutes, you're in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Well, the movie moves pretty quickly. I'll say that.
Yeah, I would say
give my full review.
In some points, it moves too quickly. I felt like things could have used a little more room to breathe. But as far as getting from Brooklyn to the Mushroom Kingdom, it's 15 minutes. You know, there's a little thing in a bathroom where they're fixing pipes, and there's a dog. None of it matters. Actually, none of it really matters. Honestly, they could have just been like, what they did in the movie was, the pipes are busted. We got to save Brooklyn because there's too much water, and then they go down in the sewers. We don't need anything. We don't need.
That's true. They could have cut that whole
established to be like they're plumbers and they're doing plumbing.
Plumbers who just went into business as plumbers and are trying to make it.
Yeah, I mean that's so they could have been like, we're plumbers just trying to make it. They see the thing on the TV and they're like, Brooklyn's flooding. We got to save Brooklyn. This is a great way to get our to stake our claim, to get our names out there. They could have just done all that and skipped everything else. But again, it was 15 minutes. When they get to the Mushroom Kingdom, I was more like, all right, I'm interested in this because it's Mario Brothers stuff. But like,
there's a nice little callback at the end with the mean dog looking at Luigi and then like nodding a little approval.
Yes.
That was all right.
I didn't dislike that. I agree with that. If it wasn't in the movie, I wouldn't have been upset.
Right, but not worth the entire beginning for that little callback.
I think maybe the plumbing scene was supposed to establish that they're like, losers, or I shouldn't say losers. They're they're underdogs.
Yeah,
underdogs for sure.
And they're under pressure from a literal dog. Oh my god, it was perfect.
My goodness.
So
there's too much pressure in the pipes.
That's it. You're right. Oh my, it was beautifully written.
Yeah, brilliant.
They when they get to the Mushroom Kingdom and Luigi gets captured and Mario's trying to get Luigi back and he meets Princess Peach and all, whatever. They're interested. That's fine, but I wasn't interested. I was like, And Mario's got to learn his way to being Mario. Again, it sounds like it's a lot, but the movie keeps a very brisk pace. So for those that saw the movie, when they started their actual adventure to Donkey Kong Kingdom, which I'd probably guess is 25 minutes into the movie, maybe, I don't know, half hour, maybe. Then I was getting into it. Then I was like, okay, I'm digging this. This is fun. I like this little, what is it? Medley's not the right word. where they're showing them traveling through the different kingdoms, getting to the
like a montage.
A montage. Why couldn't I think of that word? When they're making their way to the Donkey Kong kingdom, I was getting into it, and when they when they arrived at the Donkey Kong kingdom, I was like, okay, I like this because pretty much everything after that is action. Like it's
then it becomes
action.
then it moves quick, becomes action based, and we get some fun action scenes and
you get Mario stuff like racing and Smash Brothers and platforming.
And the sequences are exciting, and they're like the camera work is, if that's what you call it, is like really well done. And
the camera work in particular in the Rainbow Road section, I thought was really cool. How it was one long shot of different tracks on Rainbow Road, and they were panning the camera over to other branches of the Rainbow Road as stuff was going on. I watched that. I was like, oh, I really liked how they did that. But yeah, so my issue with the movie really was the dialogue, because it was just like whatever. So that's why I think I enjoyed the 2/3 after that the most, because there is dialogue, but it's very quick and there's really nothing to it, and it's focused on action. Like the dialogue is painting the background to the action, which is taking center stage. So I enjoyed the action when they were. I guess what I should say is when they were really in the thick of it doing Mario related things, I was like, oh, this is fun. It was just fun to watch and see how it played out. So by the end of the movie, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 6.5 last night. I think I might give it a 7, but I'm still dancing around that 6.5 and 7. Just because if it was the first third, if it stayed like that, I'd probably give it like a 3. I really didn't like that opening.
Would you say the action was your favorite thing about the movie?
I liked the action. I liked the pace of the action. I liked how they put a heavy emphasis on the action. Like, because when I'm thinking of Mario, it's action. Like I'm going around and platforming and all that.
Mario game is pretty light on dialogue.
Yeah, I don't need all that stuff. So that, when it more closely aligned itself with what I expect from a Mario game, I'm great. So it makes me hopeful for spoiler alert, a sequel, because they're going to do a sequel. It makes me more hopeful that they're going to just kick things off more high tempo and keep that pace throughout. And again, it's not even a 90-minute movie. I guess it's close to 90 minutes, but it's like 80 minutes or something.
Yeah, I assume it's between like 80 and 90 minutes.
So a brisk pace would be great. And now we don't need that backstory in the beginning of where they're Mario and Luigi, they're plumbers and all that stuff. Now you're just like, they're in the Mushroom Kingdom. Everybody knows them. So we could pick up the pace in the next one, but who knows? So, I've talked enough. I'll let other people go, and then we can discuss things. But anybody want to go next? Okay. Mom Brain is afraid to. Do is afraid to. Kirby, are you afraid to?
I'll go next because, my review is going to be pretty short and spoiler free. Not that matters at this point. So I don't really think this movie was meant for me, but there were some things about it that I thought were cute and some things that I thought were kind of obnoxious. I can say I think kids will probably like this movie. It's it's very colorful, and they probably won't get bored. Like we were saying, it's pretty briskly paced.
Hi, Drake.
As for adults, your mileage may vary, and it may vary by a pretty wide margin. I wasn't. It wasn't some. Like I said, it's not for me. It wasn't terrible, but it was not great either.
That's a good review that I can align with a lot of what you
great.
With everything you just said there.
Go right ahead, too. Also, hi Joe Shabadoo.
Just because I realize now it wasn't made for me. It was made for children, and that's fine. It makes sense. I guess I was hoping to get a little bit more out of it that you can get on like a Pixar level, where they can write it and like kids can enjoy it, but there's still kind of a bit of a interesting story and humor for adults. There were a couple of scenes that we talked about that were like little Easter egg, not Easter eggs even. Sometimes some were like little funny things, like at the wedding when the King Babam comes in and then
Heights Master Link. Yes, very
sits on a
happy to see him.
Koopa, and like the Koopa goes back and forth in the pew. Like that kind of stuff was really funny. I was hoping that there'd be more of that kind of stuff, akin to like the Chip and Dale movie, where it was kind of flooded with those kind of old references for like an old man like myself. So that's exactly it.
Chip and Dale is very like, I'm sure kids can watch Chip and Dale and enjoy, but Chip and Dale's not made for kids. Like that's pandering to us. And I really love that movie. I thought that movie was great. I would say that's a better movie than Mario, hands down. Yeah. But yeah, it's like Kirby said, it's a very good point that this movie clearly is aimed at children first, squarely aimed at children, whereas Chip and Dale was aimed at our age,
fans of the show,
who were like, we used to watch the show as a kid. We're going to get all these references they're going to do. They made adult references too. So yeah. Great point. But anyway, go ahead.
I feel like what they gave us in our age bracket were familiar songs, familiar pop songs. And like, I didn't appreciate that as much as I loved literally every single song they played. It was Beastie Boys. It was Aha's Take on Me, Thunderstruck. There was the
all your Mario favorites,
but there was I need a hero, which is overplayed, and then they use Mr. Blue Sky, which is also overplayed because that was in Guardians of the Galaxy,
and that's a song I like legitimately like. But I had forgotten until you mentioned last night that that was in Guardians too.
I think one thing we all agree on at this table is we don't like the quote unquote real songs in the movie. Like we don't want them there.
I'm guessing they put those in there for like the parents in the audience for these
they have to,
Illumination movies.
That's not a kid thing. Like kids don't care or don't know, and that's fine. I don't expect them to, but that's a thing for me in almost every movie. I don't want those songs. Like don't, there's exceptions, obviously, like a comedy or whatever, put whatever song. Really, there's plenty of exceptions, but in something like this, where it's an established IP, I guess that's what it is. Any established IP, like I don't want those songs in there. Like don't put those songs in there. Like The Last of Us has a couple, especially in some of the promotional stuff, has a couple songs or remakes of songs that exist outside of The Last of Us, and I'm like that pulls me out. I don't want that.
They were distracting. I thought.
So yeah, we all agree on that.
And as much as I love and adore Jack Black and love Tenacious D, I've got the albums and I know every song. I could have done without the song that he sings. It was just very Jack Black and not very Bowser. And it, to me, I know it's funny. I said this last night. I thought it was like a freestyle off the top of his head. That's how like I don't know. That's what kind of song it sounds like. And you looked it up and you're like, no, it's a written song and it's selling like crazy.
I think it was written to sound like that because it's clearly like Bowser's just like riffing, making up a song as he's going along. But like that, I think that's the approach. That's the approach they were going for. But yes, it's a fully written song. Like I said, Jack Black did a live action music video for it. Like it's a thing, and it's in the top 100 on iTunes. It's probably higher today. Really? But people,
I find that hard to believe.
People absolutely loved that song. Like it's really,
the audience seemed to
really enjoying it. Yeah,
our audience laughed at it a lot.
But that's like, I thought this was going to be a me thing because I'm so picky with music, and I just don't like music in a lot of movies. Especially if characters are performing the song. So like when that comes up, I internally groan, but I know that's a me thing. I was surprised to hear you guys disliked it as much as you did, but we again seem to be the outliers because it seems like people are really enjoying the song, and that's great. That's fine. Just I thought this was going to be a thing where I'm like, oh no, not for me, but I'm not going to mark the movie down for it. But all of us felt that song was not. I like the idea of a comedic song from Bowser. That song just didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
Though, so,
well, I liked his regular performance, and I thought Anya Taylor-Joy was a standout as well.
You know, I really liked Jack Black's. Gruffer's not. He was more like villainous. It was a more villainous take on Bowser, not over the top or anything, but it definitely had a bite to it, a little bit of an edge to it, where you're like, oh, Bowser's like in Mario games, you know Bowser's bad, but you never look at him and you're like, holy crap, this guy's bad. But in the movie, you're kind of like, oh, he's a bit more bad than I would think they do with the Bowser. So
he's pretty mean.
Yeah, mean. He was definitely mean.
He
So
says some hurtful things.
But they showed like his softer side too, which was which had some comedic moments. Those were some of the only comedic moments I laughed at, like him and Kamek like practicing was kind of funny. So I liked a lot of that kind of stuff, and I'm not trying. Now here's where I've been very undue right now. I've been very calm. I've been talking, my counterpoints about why I don't really like this movie, and I'm trying to be nice about it. Here's where I'm not trying to be funny, and I'm not trying to jump on a bandwagon, and I'm not trying to whatever. I thought Chris Pratt was awful. I thought he was the worst voice actor in the whole movie, and maybe people will say that I'm overreacting. I hated it. I didn't like the way Mario was written. There were a couple of times where Mario I thought was very, very pushy and not my Mario.
Hashtag.
But yeah, you know what? Peace and love. It's not a big deal. It's a cartoon. But
Hi, Outlaws.
I did not like Chris Pratt's take on Mario. I didn't like it. But I will end on a good thing. I loved Charles Martinet in the 2 roles that he was in.
I really, to counterpoint, not to counterpoint, just to share a different opinion. I thought Pratt was fine. To tell you the truth, I thought everybody in the movie was fine. I particularly liked Anya Taylor-Joy. I'm saying her name like that because that's how she says her name. I didn't know that, but now I know.
Oh, it's Anya.
Anya is how she says it. So I believe she knows her own name, even if she made it up for Hollywood. But I will force myself to say that. Yeah, I thought Pratt was fine. I wasn't like he's great. I wasn't like he's bad. He was whatever. But yeah, to each their own. If you didn't like him, you didn't like him. That's completely fine. When I am critiquing things, I have to make a better point of saying how I feel and not telling people why I think they're wrong. I should say your opinion is valid and you can feel that way, and then offer maybe why I feel differently, but not come at it as like, why do you feel that way? Because of this, that, and the other thing. So that's a me thing. So your point is valid. It's a very subjective thing. I thought he was fine. It wasn't anything where I was like, he did a really good job. He surprised me. He impressed me. It was just like, he did it. I wasn't
you didn't ruin it terribly.
It wasn't offensive to me.
Yeah.
It was maybe a letdown because I think even if it wasn't Charles Martinet, there could be other actors who would do a better job with it. Just traditional voice actors, I think, could do a better job with it. But he was there. It was fine. But
it didn't stand out to me in any significant way, like positive or negative.
To tell you the truth, probably in the movie, I would also say he was the worst. I just didn't dislike him. But like, I think Charlie Day did a better job. I think I think Jack Black did a better job. Anya Taylor-Joy did a better job.
I thought Seth Rogen was fine, to be honest, when I thought he was going to be really bad, but they
Pacemaker.
They threw in his laugh, his trademark laugh, and then I guess they did that because they paid for it. You know what I mean? It's like, well, it's not Seth Rogen if we don't get him laughing.
You're just hiring Seth Rogen because you want Seth.
Just Rogen. Like it's not Jack Black unless we get Jack Black singing a silly song. So
they gave Donkey Kong a literal makeover to appear at least somewhat closer to Seth Rogen. Like this is the first time they've done a Donkey Kong visual makeover in decades, and it's because his design is slightly influenced by the look of Seth Rogen. So they wanted Seth Rogen for whatever reason. But yeah, I liked his take on Donkey Kong. He was like he said in his interviews, I don't do voices. I'm going to be Seth Rogen, and that's exactly what he did, and he was fine.
And speaking of that, am I the only one who isn't really that keen on the fact that Donkey Kong can talk? That's something that
doesn't bother me.
It doesn't. It's not like it bothers me, but it's something that I always kind of disliked. It seems like he should just be like, making ape
feral
noises.
Ape. Yeah. Maybe I am okay with it because I watched that terrible Donkey Kong cartoon where he does talk.
Yeah, like I know this isn't the first time he's had a speaking voice.
Now, you know what I did like, and I'm gonna say I don't know if it was a reference or not, but it has to be a reference. In the movie, Donkey Kong, before Mario goes to take the fire flower, Donkey Kong blows it out. And Donkey Kong in Donkey Kong Country Returns Donkey Kong has the ability to blow up the dandelions, and Miyamoto made like a big deal about that. And Retro was like, "Okay, if you want that in the game, we'll put it in." I was like, "That's got to be a
that
reference,
can't be a
right?
coincidence.
So cool.
Can't be coincidental. Maybe it is. I don't know." But they went so deep on other references that I'm like, that has to be a reference.
The reference, I think, was it was originally in reverse, and he was sucking in the flower, and the reference was Seth Rogen is doing like a big flower bong hit. But then they did it in reverse, and it looks like he's blowing it out. It's like, okay, cool.
You're right.
That makes more sense for Nintendo.
That's got to be it. Yeah, I liked the relationship between Mario and Donkey Kong because obviously when it started out in the video games, they were enemies. So I liked how they had a bit of a back and forth in the movie. I appreciated that. I also said I liked in the movie that weird eel thing from Super Mario 64 is a plot point. I like that is in the movie and they get swallowed by it. I think that was great. Like a great use of something that people who aren't familiar with Mario will have no idea, but people who played Mario will be like, that's that thing from Super Mario 64.
Does that thing even have a name?
I'm sure it does. Probably something stupid like a Mario, like Ely or something. I don't know. Put an E on the end of everything. But
Mr.
Mulray is his name, says Roth.
Oh,
Mulray.
thank you.
Like a Mulray eel.
I think I'm all right too. Okay.
So yeah, I'm Mombrain. You have not said anything. Let's go.
Well, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was okay. There were some really cute parts. Although I will say that there was a kid in front of us, like a few rows in front of us, and the kid was really into the movie, and I really enjoyed that.
I think having that kid there and hearing that kid, even if you're watching the movie and you're hating it, you're like, oh, I'm bitter.
Yeah, like Mario has to eat a mushroom, and the kid just yells, he's like, just eat it, Mario, just eat it.
And the kid was like, he doesn't like it. And I was like, oh, this kid's having a good time.
And he wasn't being obnoxious. You could tell he was.
Shut the hell up.
He was just like so excited to be there. And you know what? Our theater was pretty full. There were a lot of families there. There was a family there in matching pajamas.
The four of us saw the whole movie because everybody got up to go to the bathroom
like 20 times.
Even adults, kids. Listen, I get it. You get up, you got to take the kid to the bathroom. But Mom Brain after the movie was like, did literally everyone get up to go to the bathroom during me? Hello, Sticer. Good to see you.
There was a little girl there in a like a bathrobe, like a fuzzy bathrobe, like that the parents
were real comfortable
because it was like a 7:00 movie. And I was saying in the Discord where we live, that was the first day of most kids' spring break. Mm-hmm. So I think that it was like a big night for everybody to be like, let's kick off. We'll go to the movie. Like I got a text from Droth that night. She like brought her kids.
That's a good point. I'm gonna let you continue your critique, but. We talked to a friend last night who was their Adam took his kid to the movie, and it was the first movie they went to. Adam really liked the movie, but he said he also enjoyed seeing his kids see the movie. So, and then
I think there's especially something to be said for like it being like Mario was ours when we were kids, and so to be able to bring your kid to a Mario movie, and it's not like a we dug up an old franchise. He's like still beloved. Which is kind of a cool.
Yeah, he like never went
Steve
away.
Irwin, yeah. I'll be happy to message you privately if you want on Discord and let you know when we're done with the discussion. But if you're going, you're going. It's totally fine either way. I just thought since I'm here, I can let you know. But continue.
So, I thought that was really that was sweet. So I would recommend if you haven't seen it yet and you are like. You've got like a niece or a nephew or a kid in your life who's into Mario, it would probably be fun to bring them to go see it.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that.
I have nothing else really to contribute except for, and I guess in hindsight, it's not the case because the timeline doesn't match up, but there were so many times during the movie where I thought like, did they just put this in here because it's going to be part of the theme park, or are they going to make a theme park ride out of this? Because there was a lot of stuff that I felt like it really lent itself to a theme park, and knowing that, they're being built or have been built. I don't know.
A cynical side, we talked about this very briefly last night, Mom Brain. A cynical side of me thought that same thing. There was a lot of sweeping shots of the Mushroom Kingdom, and I was just getting flashbacks of what I've seen of the actual Mario world. And I was kind of like, is this all just a cash grab? But so. Yes, it is, but it's also stuff we love. That like you said, we grew up with him, and he's still going strong and still taking our money.
Well, now at Super Nintendo World, they're gonna add that spaghetti and mushrooms meal to their menu because all the kids will want that for the movie. Obviously.
Spaghetti and meatballs.
I think it's not a. If you have little kids, it's a great first movie to take them to, or a great thing to do. Otherwise, I would strongly recommend you wait until it comes out on, whatever streaming service, and you watch it, that way. Because there's nothing about it that I could say like not to be missed. Like watch it now. So if you haven't, those are my recommendations. If you haven't seen it yet and you can wait to watch it at home, I recommend doing that. Or if there's a kiddo in your life who you think would really enjoy it, I suggest bringing them because you'd probably have a better time if you could enjoy it through the eyes of a child. And I don't really like kids, so that's saying something.
I did want to say we touched on it a little bit, and I want to get into it more. The use of Charles Martinet in the movie I thought was excellent. He is, like we said on podcast last week when there were rumors, he plays a guy in the beginning named Giuseppe who's just sitting at an arcade machine, and he has like one line that's in the Mario voice pretty much. And I was like, whatever. That's a little disappointing, but whatever. But he also does play Mario's dad. So the lines they gave him to say were very clearly written to recognize that he is the voice of Mario because he plays Mario's dad. So obviously that makes sense there. But the stuff that they have him say, I forget what the exchange is exactly at the end of the movie, but it was like Chris Pratt says something to Mario, or Chris Pratt as Mario says something to Mario's dad, and they have a little exchange where it was very obviously a recognition of Martinet is the role of Mario. He's the one that voiced the character. Like, I forget what the back and forth was exactly, but I really appreciated it. There were 2 times I teared up in the movie, and that was one of them. Like, just that little exchange. I was like, that's really nice. I really appreciated that. So he's not in it a ton, but what they do give him is very respectful of the work that he does. So that was awesome to see.
I meant to ask when in the beginning, when he's running and he runs through like a construction site, there's like a caution sign, and I could have sworn it was Mr. Game & Watch on the caution sign. Yes.
Or at least artwork very reminiscent of Mr. Game & Watch. Yeah. I mean, the movie's full of little references. I mean, you start off in Punch Out Pizza or whatever it is. And they got pictures of Glass Joe and Bear Hugger on the wall, and it's full of stuff. There's a Jumpman arcade machine and all that.
Yeah, Mario is playing Kid Icarus in one scene.
Mario literally plays Kid Icarus on an NES. Yeah, so
when there's a phone in the background on one of the, I guess maybe it's at Mario's parents' house. There's a phone in the background, and it's like looks like a Joy-Con.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like a blue Joy-Con,
like embroidery or something too.
Right on the wall with like Glass Joe and all the other boxers. There's like a Duck Hunt thing.
I mean, 2 seconds into the movie, Luigi gets a phone call, and his ringtone is the GameCube startup noise. So the movie's like full of this stuff.
Yeah, if you're the kind of person who will watch a movie just to like spot things like that,
you're gonna have to pick it apart for months on end. There's so much much of it is so quick, you're gonna have to stop and pause. Like, even like when they first get to the Mushroom Kingdom, there's a toad selling things,
antiques,
whatever, and like the other toads talking to him, and the retail toad goes, well, you're gonna have to blow into it because of NES cartridges and all that stuff. So funny stuff.
That's a big controversy I saw on the internet because
that doesn't actually work.
Isn't it proven that it actually ruins your game to do that? And they're like kind of mad that Nintendo's telling people to ruin their games.
Okay, so it's not proven that it ruins them.
It's coming across my desk later.
Yeah, it's not proven that it ruins them. It's not proven that it works.
Yeah, I just heard that it was like ineffective.
Whatever. Can it work sometimes? Yes. Is it actually? Everybody knows that's not like. This thing doesn't work. Blowing on it makes it work. It's just something we did because probably the inside of your cartridge was dirty or had dust in it, and you're supposed to use like a cleaning thing, like swab with alcohol or whatever to clean it out. But yeah, you could probably blow in it, and it'll move some dust around, and you got a better chance of it working. So it's not like wrong, but yeah, blowing air and spit into your cartridge isn't a good idea. So it's not the way Nintendo would
Wrong.
recommend to fix a game, obviously, but it can do the trick sometimes.
I, for one, was happy to see Buckenberry and a la Gold.
You know how bad I wanted them to say those names.
Oh, I wanted it so bad.
I was like, it's blue and yellow right here. Say Buckenberry and a la Gold.
You know, it's hard to hear under the mask, and we're in a movie theater, and I don't really want to bug you, but I wanted so bad to turn to you and say that they're two names.
You didn't need to, because I was thinking it the whole time. I was like, do it, but they didn't do it. So, yeah, I think that we covered everything. I think we had a great discussion.
I thought the one last thing, I thought the after credit scene was a little underwhelming because we got a whole pack of Yoshis halfway through in the montage scene. And yes, we didn't see a green one. So I was like, why would they snub the green Yoshi? And then they show, the egg at the end, but like,
listen, I will say it was nice to see Yoshi, and you want to see like Mario's Yoshi, even though there's no such thing. But also, I felt the same way. I was like, we already saw Yoshi's. It was nice, but I get like it's Mario's Yoshi, and it'll be like, I get that it's hinting at like Yoshi's not just going to be like Mario's going to ride Yoshi in the next movie. It'll be like a relationship between the two. So I understand it, but yes, I would agree. A little underwhelming because we had already saw Yoshi's, and I liked how they did the Yoshi's because, in my opinion, it was a direct reference to the intro Smash Brothers Melee, because you see a same like stampede of Yoshis running the same kind of way. So I thought that was a direct.
I just like to think about them all like living in this beautiful. Yeah,
it is nice
yeah,
to think about.
yeah.
That.
Yeah, Television says, "Where's my Yoshi?" Yeah, that's the point I think they're getting at. So, also, I will say, as I said last night in our discussion, I'm a huge fan of movie logos that get me amped up. Marvel's #1 for me. I really like what they do with the Star Wars one, where you see like the red and blue light swipes over different
and I can
masks.
hear the song in my head when. Yeah.
Really like those. I gotta say, the Nintendo one let me down a little bit. I don't dislike it, but I wasn't moved by it like I was hoping to. And I will say, I was moved by the Sega one in the Sonic movie.
Course,
I think the Sega one is great.
Although I will tell you, seeing Nintendo, the logo huge on the screen, gave me like a warm fuzzy, like, oh.
See, that cool. I did like. And as I said last night, let's say they do a Legend of Zelda movie. If they do that and the intro is an old 8-bit Link and all that, then I'm like, okay, I get what they're doing here. Then I'll like it. Like if they did that with a Samus or a Kirby, then I'm like, oh, I really like this. So I need more. But if every Nintendo movie is going to have that, I'll be like, whatever. So I was disappointed by that. But, that's stupid. Like that doesn't mean anything. That's just a me thing because I love that. When I'm in a Marvel movie and I hear that song and I see that logo, I get goosebumps every time.
And when they don't play that song because it's like a special, it's like, oh man.
Also, it is kind of funny. This movie was put out by Universal, who are the same company that took Nintendo to court.
Yeah, right. They're like, there's more money if we work together. Like those intros with Marvel when they for Wakanda Forever. They changed the logo to the purple and black, and everything had all Black Panther footage in it rather than all the characters. And I was like, see, that's the kind of stuff I like. That's really smartly done. And it was silent, no music. I was like, what a great use of that. It builds like a thing. So we have to see if Nintendo builds on it. They always
do it good.
So there you go. Some of us liked it more than others. I seem to be the one that liked it the most. I don't think it was a great movie, but I did have fun. And I'm interested in seeing where it goes from here. But as I said, you guys had reviews. I asked you on Patreon if you had a review to review it for us. So I will read your reviews.
If people want to join Patreon,
they can do so.
For $1.
Patreon.com/Go Nintendo for $1, as Billy says. Zachary Clark says Mario movie is very fun. In some ways, it is incredibly accurate to the games, and that it is 100% about fun and not story. I think if you aren't a fan of the games, it's just an okay kids film, but if you are, it is super. Martin Stuff says, so just came out of the cinema, so here's my take on it. It's a fun movie, and when you look back at how video game movies have usually been stinkers, obviously it's gotten better recently. This isn't one. It's just a good, enjoyable movie. You mentioned how when you saw a live action movie, you got a bit annoyed about its interpretation, and I can say safely you'll enjoy this movie. Not story intensive. In fact, spotting the little references is pretty fun. But when has Mario been about story? I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I did. So this obviously I posted this earlier in the week before I saw the movie. That is a very good point. Like the original Mario movie, you're like, what is this? And this, you're like, okay, it's definitely a Mario movie. So
it was Leguizamo's rocket to stardom, is what it was.
That's right. That's right. His breakthrough role. Sinfield says, I've just come home from the cinema having watched it with my wife and 3 children. I was worried about the Rotten Tomatoes critic scores, but when the lights dimmed and the film started, I loved it from beginning to end. It really is a love letter to the Mario universe, and although there has been a lot of talk about the voice acting and doubts of Chris Pratt, I felt he did a great job as the rest of the cast. I don't tear up during games, but this film got me choked up in several places. It's everything I wished back for in 93. If you love Mario, you need to see it. Fun for the whole family, and can't wait to hear what we think of it. Meaning us. Well, now you did.
Oh, you know what would have been really bad? If they did the same thing they did in the 93 movie where Mario and Luigi are both named, their like last name is Mario.
Mario, and Luigi Mario. Red Panda says it's a kid's movie through and through, and a wonderful showcase for nostalgia and Easter eggs. There's barely a scene that isn't crammed with references, both visual and audio. So much so, I probably missed a good chunk. I would argue it was distracting at times. The animation is great. Most of the voice acting is good. Jack Black was the best. Seth Rogen was by far the worst, in my opinion. Was expecting Donkey Kong to just get high at one point. Doesn't make me excited for a potential Donkey Kong movie. Overall, I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10. Radical Defect says, I was the guy that spun the whole pod's whole Chris Pratt discussion. We ended up butts in seats on day one, and I'm glad we did. Can't let one allegedly bad apple ruin a whole tree, after all. His performance was inoffensive, if not vanilla, but everyone else, especially Jack Black, more than made up for it. The soundtrack is an absolute home run. If you're moved by or tear up because of Le Motif, you're in for an emotional ride. I found the whole thing to be relatively predictable, but still super fun. Still, there's one character that wasn't shown in any of the early trailers that might be my new favorite Mario character ever. They kind of make me want to play a saxophone. Well, we get that reference.
Oh yeah, did we ever even talk about the Luma?
Why the Luma?
The Luma was in the trailer.
Wishes. Yes, the Luma was in trailers. Why the Luma wishes for death's sweet embrace for the entire movie? I don't know. Because I guess because they're like, it's a cute character, so it'll be funny if it wants to die.
It was a funny juxtaposition. I think they went a little too far with it. They milked it a little too much.
What I did like was that they showed the Luma can clearly get out of its cage, but it wants to be in there because it wants to die. So I did like that little nod. John says a fun ride and a colorful tribute to the greatest game series of all time, more than a film. But I thought it was executed well. I thought it executed what it was aiming to do extremely well. Gorgeous animation and my favorite ringtone Easter egg ever. Joe Shabadoo says, I'm glad I went to see this movie, especially glad that I saw it in the Dolby Atmos theater and allowed the superb score and sound design to shine. Music is the purest form of human expression, and they nailed it with the exception of a few unfortunate cases of licensed music. Having said that, I would rate it a fairly charitable 7 out of 10. Actually, scratch that, ratings are dumb. I would say it's a very easy recommendation to any fan of Nintendo, for sure any younger fan, and a hesitant recommendation just as a fun family film on its own merits. Now, to be critical, it is fun and entertaining enough, but all gusto and go, 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 while always feeling as though it's lacking just a little something. There's never enough meaningful world building to me. I know. Hey, Joe Shabadoo, why are you expecting that from a game franchise that never made it a main concern? Well, sir, because this is a film and not a video game, and thus a great opportunity to flesh out that world in a meaningful and definitive fashion.
That's a very good point.
It's not so much saying that it needs to explain why this place exists, but more detailing the interrelationships of the beings in it and any sort of history they all have. When I, the viewer, am searching and not finding much of that, it dovetails into a lack of motivation for most of the characters in this movie. The voice acting, for all the online debate, was all fine and good. That said, turning Bowser's entire character into Jack Black doing a toned down version of Tenacious D is a choice I have mixed feelings about. In the end, I can say that the impressive attention to detail in this visually stunning Easter egg fest theme park ride of a film made me smile consistently, almost to the point of distraction, and they were focused on accomplishing that Also, the best source of comic relief came from an unexpectedly small blue source, so that's cool. There are far worse ways to spend 90 minutes. Well, we all agree on the music portion, my friend. Yeah. There were certain things in the movie where I felt it went too quickly. Like I wanted it to explain things a little bit more, just because I felt there were relationships that could have explored. So I'm right with you there, my friend. Kyle says, loved it start to finish. It couldn't help looking in the background of every shot for Easter eggs, so I will need to rewatch it no matter what. My kids both said it was awesome, the Target demo, and I picked out over musical score and was instantly whisked away to that specific game level and sound effect. I also like that Princess Peach is never a damsel in distress, but Luigi fills that role until we get to Luigi's Mansion movie. The voice acting was great and it didn't take me out of the movie thinking about the actor's voice, but instead it felt natural to the character. Also, really appreciated that Charles was not a throwaway character. That was a nice touch. This is only going to lead to bigger and better things for Nintendo, Universal, and I'm glad the Mario Brothers got a second chance at a movie. Miyamoto did us well again. I am off to pre-order the 4K. Yes, you can pre-order your at-home release now if you want. Walmart has a special one that comes in a star tin. So if you'd like for something special. Freddie Fro felt they give it an 8 out of 10. Felt like a fun theme park ride that I look forward to going on again soon. However, I can't help but compare this to other similar movies like the Lego Movie and Wreck-It Ralph. Both those movies had similar plots and fun elements like Mario, but they also had emotional weight and character depth to their bigger moments, something this movie lacked. Also, please, everyone watch Puss in Boots 2, 10 out of 10. On my list, I really got to watch that. Also, I didn't like Wreck-It Ralph. I really didn't like that movie.
That's too bad.
Rosemary the Farmer
I liked it better than this.
Says 7 out of 5 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10. Depending on which part we're talking, music score was 10 out of 10. I was thrilled to hear some Captain Toad representation. Yes, I love that. Toad got a Captain Toad theme in the beginning. But big thumbs down for random 80s songs. I felt like Universal filling a quota, especially when there are so many good Donkey Kong song options. It sounds like you were in our car ride home last night, Rosemary the Farmer. Writing story felt very Nintendo safe and offensive. Don't ruin the integrity of the characters, and mostly just fine. I didn't catch most of the Easter eggs, but I'm excited for other people to find them. I know they're there. Overall, very fun time. Slider64 has our last review. Outside of Cranky Kong sounding awful and licensed music, I liked it a lot. It's a bit simple and fast-paced, but it works well with some great moments. I'm sorry, that's not the last review. The last review is SD Sick Hero. I very much enjoyed the movie. I found it breezy and fun, though a little simplistic. I don't mind, though, and at least if it wasn't plotting or boring. The animation was also great. I understand some might not like the film as light as this one, but it's Mario, man. There you go. Yeah, I will certainly say it was not boring, and I never felt it dragged on. That is very true. It went at a breakneck pace, so there's never anything where I was like, come on, let's go. It just happened. Like I said, there were times where I wanted to slow down and explore things a little bit more, but very much a kid's movie. It kept that pace. So I'll tell you what felt long. That Trolls trailer.
Oh my God.
That trailer is probably 2.5 minutes, and we were a minute in. I was
felt
like,
longer than the movie.
You know, there's so many reasons I have personally for not wanting children knowing the movies. Because when Adam said that last night, and he was like, I liked it. You know, it was great to see something with my daughter that meant something and all that stuff. And he's like, I've seen so many kids' movies that are just so terrible. And it was like a throwaway comment, but I heard the emptiness and the deep darkness in his soul from having to watch that stuff. Yeah. And just that trailer, I was like, holy cow, never, ever will I have children.
That
Cut trailer them off right now.
That trailer, I don't have
to worry about it.
Like,
my balls.
I don't know. Like, it was a lot of talking for a trailer for a kids movie. Like, it was just like it was all like plot point.
Theater. I was like, this is the movie we've come to see. And
there was like,
it was just like in the middle of a
like,
scene.
If you're gonna give me a trailer for that movie, then give me like the 80s songs and whatever, and I'll just be like, oh, it's one of these movies, and I'll just sit there and whatever. But this was like so much talking, and I'm like, do kids want to see this? Like, what's going on here? This is horrendous. Joe Shabadoo is screaming, why was Rainbow Road somewhere other than space? He's very upset about that.
Oh yeah, there might be some continuity errors in the movie.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
or no, I'm sorry, not
good point.
I don't mean continuity errors. I mean non-canon things.
Yes, issues with adaptations of source material. Yeah, that's a point. It didn't bother me. I didn't think of it, but I liked that whole ride in general, though. I thought that was a fun. That might be my most. I don't know. That Smash Brothers section and the Mario Kart section together. I really liked those. I liked everything after that first third. I really did. I didn't love it, but I liked it. I thought it was fun, and it wasn't. None of it overstayed its welcome. And my favorite part of the movie is King Bomb. I just like that he was invited to the wedding. He was in the front row, so Bowser respects him.
And I like King Boo was there.
King Boo was there too. Yes,
so
very good.
All the royalty was there.
Yes,
I liked when they were planning their invasion. There was a map on the wall, and it was the map from Super Mario Brothers from Super Nintendo.
Super Mario World. Yeah, I don't know if it was 1-for-1, but it was very much in that style. Like it was exactly the same style.
It's really cool.
Yes, I did like that. So yeah, there you go. That's our thoughts on the movie.